Folks, if you're a speaker, you are being recorded, and probably your content is training AI models, maybe even your competitors. I'm here with Kary Rubino, co-host, co-author. Kary, our book is still #1 today for all patents, trademarks, copyrights, IP. You are an IP company. First of all, let's just start there. Like, why do you think there's this big desire with this content today?
Yeah, I think especially in the age of AI, there's so much generation of IP, even faster than we could historically create inventions, ideas. And so IP protection is paramount, especially too because there's all these tools to generate IP. There's also these tools that infringe upon it.
Mm,
And so there can be theft of IP that we'll talk about. And Kary, you even had a situation like this happen. And so it's ubiquitous with the rise and adoption of these tools that we're all using.
absolutely. I know it's coming. For those that can see my screen, let me just read this. This is in the National Speakers Association, which after I show this slide, I'll tell you how many people are in this. Katie, there's a lot. But anyways, the person posts 20 hours ago. You are speaking at an event. Someone raises their cell phone and starts recording. It becomes evident they will record your entire talk. What do you say or do? Now, I like that they posted this. There's 18 people that reacted, 64 comments, and it's, again, only 20 hours ago. But I would say it's much more subtle. Who's going to raise their phone and start recording it? What's probably more likely, Katie, is someone is wearing AI glasses and you have no clue that they're recording your talk, or someone has a Plod, the size of a business card, and they're literally recording your talk. I mean, forget the whole raise your cell phone and hold it up for 30 minutes. We don't even need that anymore.
That's right. When I think too, in the future, who knows, these things could become even tinier, right? You think
Yeah.
about, I remember when the first iPad came
Yeah.
out and it was big and bulky, right? And
Yeah.
now they're so tiny, they're very sleek. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
throw them in your purse. And so I think this is going to become even more prevalent as these tools and these recording devices get more and more sophisticated too.
Yeah, I was with Chad Jenkins the other day. He had on a watch and he just showed me, hey, watch this. And then he clicked it and it was, I think, Gen Spark, something like that. But it basically just recorded our entire talk. I had no clue. There was no flashing thing. And again, he told me, that this was happening. But yeah, I mean, BCI, brain computer interface, 5 years from now, you might even have a chip in your head and
Right.
you just tap like this and all of a sudden the whole thing is being recorded. So the point is this, we cannot fight technology. So therefore, what I posted was everyone has AI recording devices now. Here's what I did. And then I like how this nice lady, Sharon, said, great article. Thanks. And Katie, if you can still see my screen, can you with this press release?
I can, yep.
Okay. So just yesterday, literally just yesterday, Instant IP helps speakers protect talks and slide decks in the age of AI copying. And again, I post this not to say, oh, look, here's another income stream. The press release says, look, Kary spent over 100 hours preparing a TEDx talk on IP protection. And you know this, you were there with me the whole way when I was like preparing for the TEDx. You called me when I was in the restaurant with my family before I took the stage because you announced that the patent had just been approved. Remember that?
That was one of the best days ever,
Yeah.
timing wise, of getting a patent approved,
Oh my
because
goodness.
I just remember leading up to that talk, we were, wondering, is this going to come through? What's going to go
Yes.
on with it? And that day I got a call that it was allowed, and I immediately called you because I knew it was so
Yeah.
instrumental to just giving you confidence and
Confidence.
excitement before that talk.
Yeah, because here I am, the biggest talk of my life. Um, Everything's scripted. I'm giving away the farm. I'm giving away everything in the talk about my idea. And there's even laws in America. I mean, there's laws of the first time you publicly disclose something, a clock starts, a 1-year clock, that you have to get this patented. Otherwise, it becomes, you lose your window. What is it? What is that? Explain that for people that are
Yeah.
just learning that.
And I'd say, yeah, in the US, we have a more lenient system here where we have this 1-year public disclosure bar. So when from the first moment you publicly disclose your invention, whether that's through giving a talk, publishing a paper on it, telling somebody right about it, whatever that disclosure is, that starts a 1-year time clock of when you have to file a patent within that 1-year period.
Yeah.
If you don't, you'll block yourself from being able to file the patent because that will be prior art against yourself.
Yeah.
Now, most countries around the world are even stricter where you don't have that 1-year time bar. Any public disclosure is an absolute bar to patentability. So that's why, you want to be very careful and strategic before you go talk at a conference, right? About making sure the innovations are protected because otherwise you could prior art yourself.
It's so important. And these are the things where people think, what? I work with Cedarville, and the students have a pitch competition.
Yep.
And, it's being live streamed all over the world for those who want to watch. So the point is this, that you have to be so careful because you think you're just giving a talk, you think you're just giving a pitch. Some of these students have amazing ideas, and I tell these students, you better wrap something around that, because somebody can be watching in Texas the live stream and say, that's a great idea, let's roll, and rush to protect your idea and lock you out. And so again, folks, I'm not meaning to freak you out with creativity, but I do want to show this flywheel, Katie, because this relates to this whole topic today. We call it the IP flywheel, but it's basically saying that when you publish something, i.e. a talk, a paper, just like you're saying, protect it before you promote it, and then expect to profit from it. Because if you just go publish, promote, profit, you lose this confidence piece. And that's what you're saying. When you called me in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and said, hey, your patent's been approved, I all of a sudden step on the stage being like, okay, who cares if people are recording? Who cares if people are throwing it on AI, stealing it, rushing it? Because now I have confidence that I could fight in a court of law that I was there first. And back to that National Speaker Association, if they're posting this on a Facebook group, it's because it's relevant. It's because there's a trend. I mean, nobody's just going to invent that idea. Somebody probably saw that, oh, here's 27,000 members in that Facebook group, 27,000 members. So Katie, what do you think? Somebody's asking the question because they're probably seeing it.
Absolutely. And because this happens all the time, right? Because Kary, in your situation, after you gave that talk a few years later, someone on LinkedIn posted an article that was verbatim your TED talk, right? And, this happened to be an innocent mistake where the guy had used AI tools to publish an article, and he admitted that he took it down, right? It was a sort of best case scenario.
Yeah.
But again, had you not protected it, could have been a much different outcome, because he could have known you were a sitting duck without any protection around this.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I want to show people because I save everything. Um, but basically, I would encourage people. What is the first step? Number one, Katie, screenshot it,
Yep.
because screenshot the offense. Because the moment I then connected with this guy, he immediately deleted it, and thankfully I had screenshotted it, because it's almost like, because I didn't know his motive, but it's almost like catching a thief and then destroying the camera that caught them in the act.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Well, and especially too, because yes, there are tools like the Wayback Machine, right? But
Yeah.
that's not scraping things minute by minute to
No,
know.
sometimes it's like months or years, and
Yes,
the
and it
offense
could
has
be
happened. Yeah.
gone, and then you have nothing to fall back on. So that's why definitely get photos of it, get
Yeah.
proof in, and
Yeah.
then that way, whatever action you need to take, you have everything documented.
Absolutely. So we just created this page, Katie, instantip.today/speakers. And I basically start the video. You can see my actions here. I'm going to pull out my phone and I'm going to say, what if people are taking photos? Watch this here. Click, click, click. Because I've seen that happen. I mean, you've seen that happen where you're in a seminar workshop and people are just not holding it up, recording it, but they're like, ooh, good slide. Ooh, good slide.
Right.
And so we basically say, look, when you start your talk, have the person who's introing you say, our speaker today is Catherine Rubino of Wigan and Dana, and she's going to be coming and talking about patent law. Feel free to take pictures of her slides. You probably will do that anyway, but just know that everything she's about to share today is protected by intellectual property protection via blockchain technology and smart contracts. So everything you're about to see is IP, and it's protected, and misuse is punishable in a court of law. Let's bring Katie up. And Katie, what do you think happens when we say and do that and the slide is shown and the intro is made? What do you think that does to the audience?
Yeah. Well, I'd say it does a couple of things. It puts them on notice about the IP protection, which is a good thing, to let them know, hey, this is my original content and I own the intellectual property in it. And I think it also makes them be a bit more cautious about it, because they realize, oh, if I do share this or distribute it and I'm not allowed to, there's a real risk of enforcement here,
Yeah.
right? And I'm going to be liable for that. So I think it makes them act a bit more cautiously too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've walked into stores near tourist traps and it says, smile, you're on camera. And even though I have no desire to steal anything, all of a sudden it makes me be like a little bit like looking over my shoulder, like, where is the camera? Okay, what's going on? Like, okay, this person is taking their stuff seriously, and it deters. So it like raises the value of the person, creates a boundary, creates respect. How many people have trespassed because they didn't know,
Yeah.
that there was, I mean, I see this all the time when I'm cycling. It says private drive or, no trespassing. And trust me, one says, no trespassing, we're reloading, or something like that with a gun. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not going down that road. Or we love pit bulls. All of a sudden you respect the property a lot faster. And that's the goal, is that no one ever commits a crime. And therefore you're putting up I think it's called IP marking.
Yeah, you're putting the world on notice about your intellectual property protection. And in the world, if it's a patented product, right, that's what we call patent marking. And that way there is actual knowledge of the patent so that they can't claim they didn't know, right?
Yeah.
And that's why too, with real property, you have those signs that say private property, no trespassing, because it puts the trespasser on notice about the land and the ownership rights.
I love what you're saying, because we say all the time, like, when you're giving a talk, you could put at the bottom TM or C with a circle. But unless you're using an R with a circle, which, by the way, you can't use legally unless you have actually filed a registered trademark, not even filed, unless you've been granted a registered trademark, you can't use the R. Otherwise, that's, from my studies, it's illegal. I can't just throw an R with a circle around something and be like, oh, sweet, because there's no USPTO backing unless I've actually done that. And so therefore you have a TM, which is an unregistered trademark, or a C with a circle, which is an unregistered copyright. And so the audience really doesn't know unless you've actually filed. And so that's why we've done this instant IP superscript, because it's basically saying that this signifies it's been protected with blockchain. And again, we throw that lock on there, which anybody can scan and then quickly go back and see the portal. And I think it's great. It's like, creates respect. And so, Katie, I was in what was it? Chad Jenkins event in November. I think I shared this with you. I'm at an Italian dinner, and I look to my left and I see a device on a dude pinned. And I look to my right and I see a device on a dude pinned. And I'm like, whoa, what is going on? We're just having dinner. And I just casually brought it up to the guys. I said, are you recording our dinner? And he's like, oh yeah. I wake up in the morning, hit record. And the whole day when I'm at a conference, I'm just recording everything. And then I go back and hit stop and then download it to my AI. And now I know all the notes for the day. Well, yeah, but he also knows my dinner and everything,
Yeah, it's very intrusive. And, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how these tools get adopted, because in a lot of states, in order to record somebody, you have to have two-party consent, meaning whoever you're recording has to give a consent for you to record them. So I think it'll be interesting to see how these devices apply to those rules in these states where that's needed. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's easy to put signage. I mean, I've been to workshops recently that it says, please respect the privacy of your table mate. No recording of this workshop. I like that sign. That's great. But like we just said, when you can press something on a watch before you even step in the room, if people wanted to, they can record. So rather than fight that, put it on instant IP. The moment you step on the stage, you now have the confidence, hey, everything's been time-stamped immutably. And if somebody ever does come with an article, and we live in a world today where not only the recording, you could throw that into Notebook LM, press 5 buttons, you have a slide deck, you have a podcast, you have a video. You could easily then say, you know what, let's put that into Lovable. Lovable creates a website, and now you Shopify it, and like in 24 hours, you have a whole business off that person's IP.
Yeah, it's so fast, right? These things can just steal the ideas and build a business on it instantaneously almost.
It is true. It is true.
Yeah.
So folks, you can either have one of two responses today. You can either rush back and say, well, gee, I'm giving up. I'm never going to create again. AI wins, and you lose your humanity. I believe that we've been created to create. I believe that it says in the Bible, God created us in his image, and that's why we are co-creators. We're supposed to create, not just consume. Or Katie, the other person, says theft may happen, just like it did for Kary, just like that article guy stole his TEDx. But you know what? He went and fought it, and the guy quickly apologized, quickly removed it. It was a lesson for everybody. He's now more cautious, and I think everybody wins.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, folks, if you need any help, go to instantip.today/speaker. Make sure, yep, speaker singular. And if you do have unique processes and systems that you're talking about, go to Wigan and look up Katie and consider a patent. Because if you're talking about what, Katie, unique systems, processes, there could be a patent there.
That's right. Exactly. And it could be, you know, as we've talked about before too, I'll just say one idea, one concept, one talk, right, could have multiple layers of protection. So maybe it makes sense to put it on instant IP first, right? And then maybe you're going to trademark the name of it later or patent some part of it later. But there, a lot of times there can be multiple layers and ways to protect something, one idea there.
I love it. Go make it happen, folks. Don't stop creating, and reach out to Katie if you need help in patents and trademarks. Reach out to me if you need instant IP. Have a great day.